History has a way of repeating itself. For the second time in 3 years, it's the Pittsburgh Riverhounds welcoming Detroit City FC to Highmark Stadium in the USL Championship playoffs. Happy to have you with us this evening on ESPN Plus, alongside MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. Ricky, if you're a player on any of the remaining teams, you have to feel good about the way the bracket has opened up.
There is simply no favorite now in USL Championship, specifically for this Pittsburgh Riverhounds and Detroit City side. You're going to feel confident that you can really make a run at this thing and try to play for trophies, but you have to take care of the 90 minutes right in front of you.
Yeah, the reason things are so open is the 1 seed Lou City's gone because they lost to Detroit City last week. That sounds familiar. 2023, as I mentioned, these teams met in the conference quarterfinal, and it was the top seed Pittsburgh falling to Detroit City. Dominic Gasso got the goal that night. One player who wasn't a part of the happenings 2 years ago, who will be very impactful tonight, Ricky, is Jay Chapman.
Jay Chapman is just so influential of Detroit City and what they want to do on and off the ball. On the ball, he's cleaning possession, he keeps the game moving, and he has the ability to find that final ball in that final third. Off the ball, look for him to put out fires. Expect Jay Chapman to be a massive presence centrally, because last time out, last week at Lynn Family Stadium, it was exactly what you needed from a player of his quality and his leadership. Yes, he gets the assist on the game-winning goal for Devin Almumenta to get on the end of it, but everything he did off of the ball, Joe, was so impressive. This team has belief, this team is full of confidence, and expect a same performance here at Highmark Stadium.
Now, last week it was tight for Pittsburgh as well. There wasn't a goal in that game. They needed penalties to get through.
The Riverhounds did a really good job at just staying tuned in and staying composed through 120 minutes. They were the better side, and then it all came down to players standing up when the pressure is on. Eric Dick makes a massive save, and Sean Suber says thank you very much. The Pittsburgh Riverhounds, especially when they play at home, they feel themselves and expect them again to be confident.
And tonight's player to watch, presented by Modelo, is Robbie Mertz, celebrating those with a fighting spirit whose determination and skill truly embody the mark of a fighter.
Robbie Mertz is just a nightmare to defend. The spaces that he picks up in between lines, he can beat you 1v1, he can beat you through combination play. Expect everything going forward for the Riverhounds. Robbie Mertz is going to be a piece of it.
Oh, history will be made tonight. Neither the Pittsburgh Riverhounds nor Detroit City FC have ever made it to the Eastern Conference Final. That changes 90 minutes or 120 minutes from now. It's Pittsburgh and Detroit City next on ESPN Plus.
Ain't no better feeling than a cold one in my hand. Well, that's why I'll be keeping Iron City in my plans. Oh, everywhere I roam, I'll be thinking about my home. Sitting pouring on the iron right before I go to rest. And when I'm laying in my bed, there's only one thing in my head. Just an ice cold can of Pittsburgh, PA's best.
The build. What is it that drives us to follow our dreams, to build them from scratch, from the heart? For us, it's the same ideals of hard work, craftsmanship, and unity that define our great nation. It begins with trusting in yourself and having a team behind you that believes any dream is possible, and that every project is a vision of what can be, of who you are, and the future that you continue to build. From our family to yours, 84 Lumber, where quality and pride come together, one dream at a time.
Tip the scales. More life, less work. That's balance. Clock out and step onto scenic hiking trails where colorful views guide the way. Experience fall in Pennsylvania's Laurel Highlands the way it was meant to be. Bold, beautiful, and breathtaking. Find your adventure or kick back and relax. Your work will be waiting when you get back. It's all about balance. Make fall happen at GoLaurelHighlands.com.
The black and yellow runs deep in this city. These fans are always amped for playoff action. It's Pittsburgh and Detroit City ready for action at Highmark Stadium. First, a look at the starting lineups presented by IC Light, and we begin with Pittsburgh.
Essentially, for Rob Vince, it's going to be really important for Bradley Sample and Danny Griffin just to dictate tempo and also understanding if they can slow the game down, they bait out Detroit, and that allows Barnes and Etsu to be really expansive, provide the width. It all comes down to Robbie Mertz playing centrally all as well to supply Augie Williams. That front three needs to have a massive game. First 10 to 15 minutes, getting them in a rhythm will be really important.
On the other side for Detroit City, it's once again Carlos Saldana in goal. He started last week for the first time in over a month.
This back line for Danny Dichio is full of confidence. They're playing at a really high level. Amma Mensah, Brian, and Shane We do a good job at staying compact and keeping everything in front of them. Ryan Williams and Jay Chapman were the two best players last time out. Expect them to have a similar performance, which will allow Diouf, Darren Smith, and Cedeno to be a little bit more aggressive at pushing the tempo higher up the field. Getting them involved early is going to be important as well for Danny Dichio going forward.
Detroit City, the team that nobody expected to be here, they expected it. They relished in silencing that crowd at Lynn Family Stadium last week, and they are hoping to do the same thing again here at Highmark tonight. 2 years ago, it was 1-0 late winner for Detroit City in the postseason. These teams have met 3 times this year, a win apiece and a draw. It has been dead even, Ricky.
This game is going to be extremely cagey, so that winning that midfield battle for Rob Vincent and Danny Dichio is always going to be important. Having the ability to play this game on your terms, first 10 minutes is going to tell us a lot about the mentality and the tactical matchups that we're going to see throughout this course of 90 minutes.
The referee in charge tonight is Natalie Simon. Danny Griffin with the ball in hand to get us on our way. Pittsburgh in their traditional black and yellow from left to right. Detroit City in their white and green from right to left. The Pittsburgh City skyline in the background beyond the Monongahela. We are ready for Eastern Conference semifinal action between the Riverhounds and Detroit City. Winner of this gets the winner of North Carolina and Rhode Island. That match kicked off a half an hour before ours. We'll keep you updated on the happenings there throughout the evening. And we're underway at Highmark Stadium. Glad to have you with us on ESPN Plus alongside Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. Jitters were evident early last week for Pittsburgh. Hartford came in and actually put the ball in the net 90 seconds into the game. An offside flag bailed out this Pittsburgh team, and this Steel Army that was silenced briefly quickly had the chorus ring out again. They're hoping for a better start here tonight.
That is something that Rob Vincent mentioned in our conversation with him earlier this week. Joe said the first 15 minutes wasn't our best. We were very shaky. They did a better job once they settled in for the Riverhounds. So a strong start is going to be top priority for the home side.
Take a look at keys to the game tonight. Building a win is presented by 84 Lumber.
For this Pittsburgh Riverhound side, you have to have balance within your attacking phase of play, understanding when to play centrally and bait in that midfield trio for Detroit City, but also when to play wide with Etsu and Barnes. And for Danny Dichio, it was very simple. You have to keep emotions intact. You cannot allow everything that goes on outside the white line to dictate your performance.
Take a look at the injury report presented by Allegheny Health Network, the official medical provider of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. O'Toole and Vactor on the Pittsburgh side, a clean slate reported by Detroit City. Vactor's a big miss for Pittsburgh. It changes some things. We'll get there in a second. To the end line now, fed in front. Nobody there at the back door for Pittsburgh. The hustle from Perrin Barnes to keep it alive. Perrin Barnes, one of the players impacted by that Vactor injury tonight. Sample looks toward goal. It's saved by Saldana. That was eerily similar to the goal that Gasso scored 2 years ago through all the traffic.
A really good start for the Riverhounds, and it comes with the two outside backs being really expansive and really aggressive, which allows space centrally. Bradley Sample doing a good job at just keeping this thing alive. And that's a good save from Saldana because there is a lot of traffic in front of him. Secure hands. That's going to do a world of good for his confidence between the sticks.
Saldana, before last week, hadn't started since September 27th. No injury, just a competition all year between Carlos Saldana, the starter tonight, and Carlos Herrera, the backup for Detroit City, coming into this evening here. Those two went back and forth all season long, but Danny Dichio has always felt he's had 2 1s rather than a 1 and a 2. It's Saldana who wins out now in the playoffs.
Especially with the save that he had at Lynn Family Stadium, one of, if not the best that I've seen in Championship. You go with the hot hand, you go, especially with the form that this back line and goalkeeper of Detroit City have been. It's a no-brainer for Danny Dicchio.
Michael Bryant, who you, Ricky, and I think July dubbed the best mustache in all of USL Championship. Still sporting it now in the playoffs.
Hasn't changed. Still the best in the league.
It's picked up by LaFleur. Big mid-season acquisition for Detroit City on loan from Philadelphia Union. Mensah brings it down, operating as the left center back tonight for Detroit City. His counterpart, the left center back on the Pittsburgh side. We expect it to be Guillaume Vactor. He went down with an injury last week against Hartford, had to be subbed off. We thought in the week leading up he'd be good to go. He's not. He's out tonight. So it's Luke Biasi, who was maybe the star of the game last week as the right wing back, moving inside as the left center back, and Perrin Barnes now the right wing back for Pittsburgh.
Luke Biasi was phenomenal, especially in the early parts of that Hartford Athletic game. The work rate on and off the ball, clean in possession, won his individual duels, a different type of role within this back three. You need to stay compact. You need to stay a little bit more connected with Suber, who will anchor that back line for the Riverhounds.
It's always interesting, too, how the dominoes fall when you have an injury like that. Luke Biasi is a right-footed player who tends to play on the right side, so you would have thought maybe they tuck him in at right center back and then move Beto Idrach over. No, instead they just put Biasi as a like for like with Vactor. There's two schools of thought there. If you do it the way they did it, you're only changing 2 positions. If you move Idrach over, now you're all of a sudden impacting 3 positions. So that's why Biasi has the left center back instead of the right center back tonight.
But also understanding the characteristics of a right footer playing the left-hand side. Now the game is going to come centrally because he's going to want to put the ball on his right foot. So the movement of Danny Griffin, Bradley Sample always need to supply options when Luke Biasi gets on the ball.
Eric Dick sends it long. Bryant. Amu Mensah, last week's hero, the goal off the corner kick for Detroit City in the 1-0 win over Lou City. Diouf brought down. Rob Vincent, the acting head coach of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, hasn't lost yet since he's been in charge. Former striker for Pittsburgh, and that striker's outlook has changed a little bit of the nuance in how they do things. More freedom to the wingbacks, more freedom to Danny Griffin to go ahead and get forward in the middle. Just a different mentality overall for Pittsburgh, and some of those decisions that have to be made always want some forward thinking rather than defensive minded.
A lot more of vertical movements is what we've seen from the Riverhounds when Rob Vincent is calling the shots. Charles All has been a lot more active in terms of his movement out of that deep line position. Makes life very difficult to track. There's just a sense of freedom and security going forward under Rob Vincent for the Riverhounds.
At 2, physical start between these sides early on. Natalie Simon will have her work cut out for her tonight. Danny Dicchio, second season at the helm for Detroit City, guiding them into the postseason, really against all odds. The way this season ended, they finished 1-4-2 over their final stretch of games. Within that, they didn't score much. They only had 4 goals scored in those 7 games, but the 2 draws they had the last 2 weeks of the season were enough ultimately to get them in. And then once you're in, anything can happen, as Louisville learned the hard way last week. Back to LaFleur. Amu Mensah. Isaiah LaFleur, again, joined from Philadelphia Union on loan and missed a year because of a knee injury before he returned this past year for Philly and MLS Next Pro. Foul away from the play. Free kick coming for Detroit City as our first train of the night goes on in the background. Jesse Cedeno writhing in pain. Haven't seen a card produced yet.
As Luke Biasi is staying like for like with Cedeno, does seem like something off of the ball. Left side of your screen does seem like he just clips the heels of Cedeno. Cedeno clearly in some pain. Not what you want if you are Detroit City and Danny Dicchio, especially with how this game sets up tactically. Cedeno, the spaces that he picks up playing as a number 10 underneath the Youth and Smith, really important. Hopefully he's okay to continue on, but it's a really aggressive step from Biasi, and that's something that Rob Vincent's going to want from his three center backs to stay like for like, especially when checking centrally, because you do not want to let your opposing player get on the half turn.
Well, there's no love lost between these teams. They've met, as we mentioned earlier, 3 times this season. Across the board, a win each and a draw. They met in regular season, they met in the Jägermeister Cup. So these two teams very familiar with each other.
Not a lot that separates both of these teams. These teams play very similarly like this Detroit City side. Once again, the ball, they want to be rumble and tough, especially at home. But here at Keyworth, this Riverhound side full of confidence. We have Robbie Mertz pulling the strings. Barnes gets on the end of it. It's always a really intense game. And that was something that Danny Dicchio mentioned, saying we have to stay tuned in mentally. Do not let yourself get pulled into anything silly and leave your side at a disadvantage.
Now, one thing to keep in mind, each of those 3 meetings came with Bob Lilly at the helm before acting head coach Rob Vincent stepped in. So some of those nuances we talked about earlier, Detroit City hasn't seen those nuances in person head-to-head yet. So there is still some adjusting to do. Cedeno looks like he's had the boot pulled off, and some players starting their warm-up a little bit early for Detroit City in case Cedeno cannot go. Instrumental to the creative portion of the midfield for Detroit City. Looks like he's going to be all right to continue once he gets the boot on.
And just the left side of your screen, a bit awkward here from Luke Biasi. Clips the heels. It seems like the Achilles area of Cedeno. A good sign if you are Danny Dicchio and Detroit City as your number 10 back on his own power.
Just keep an eye on him these next few minutes to make sure he's all right. Kobe Hernandez Foster would be the imagined like-for-like change as the creative engine of the midfield. It looks like he's making his way back to the bench now. No need to continue the warm-up. We'll say this. Referees have their scouting reports and their meetings coming into games. Jesse El Cedeno has quite the reputation in this league as far as diving and embellishing. I'm not saying that was the case here, but as far as no card being presented and nothing further, you wonder if that is something that the referees undoubtedly will be keyed into coming into a game like this. You never had a reputation like that, Ricky.
Never. Extremely honest.
Now for that delay, back to it here in this first half. Scoreless through the opening 10. Scoreless through the opening 40 between North Carolina and Rhode Island at the moment. Winner of that game meets the winner of this game in the conference final next week. North Carolina, the highest remaining seed. Pittsburgh, the 4. Rhode Island, the 7. Detroit City, the 8. There's your pecking order as far as who hosts next week. Foul goes against Pittsburgh. Rob Vincent looking on. It was Shane Wheat who was involved in that challenge. Their former member of the Riverhounds himself, Shane Wheat, was part of that 2022 team that got really close to making Pittsburgh's first ever conference final, but faltered against Louisville. That was the most heartbreaking of the bunch for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. They were leading 2-0 in that game. Louisville scored in the 83rd and the 85th and then won it in penalties. And it's the closest the Riverhounds have come to a conference final. Mertz looking back for Etu, brought down inside or outside the area. Doesn't matter. Natalie Simon sees no foul, waves play on. Had she seen a foul, it would have been interesting to distinguish whether that was in or outside the box. Remember, VAR not part of the equation here.
Junior Etu is just so important when the Riverhounds do go forward because he gives you that quality, but he also gives you the verticality as there is a little bit of contact, not much in that whatsoever. Yamazaki does a good job at not extending his right arm. It's a good no call by Natalie Simon. Junior Etsu's looking for it.
Not only not much in that, but that replay showed us the contact was outside. Anyway, very experienced referee Natalie Simon. She's a FIFA licensed referee. Highest order you can be.
Again, Luke Biasi being really aggressive and applying a lot of contact with Cedeno when he is checking back and trying to pick up the ball.
Floating this one in beyond for Augie Williams, who was quiet last week in that 0-0 draw before winning in penalties in the first corner of the evening coming for Pittsburgh. Corner is brought to you by Cohen Markets. They were not very effective off their corners last week. That was more a testament to Hartford and the aerial prowess that Hartford brought to the table with them. A lot of big guys in the box for Hartford. A little bit more evenly matched in the air tonight, these two sides. Steel Army ready to erupt beyond Carlos Saldana's goal. Mertz swings it in. Wheat dispatches. Mertz keeping it alive. Still Robbie Mertz. Can he make something of this?
Really well done there from Robbie Mertz to keep possession. Such a special player.
Foot race won by Perrin Barnes. Every single one of those 50-50s in the midfield vital tonight for a Detroit City team especially that'll be sitting back looking to counter through Smith, through Diouf. Sample. Barnes. Slides it through, space for Mertz, looking for Williams, and cleared it by Shane Wheat. Watch the USL Championship final Saturday, November 22nd on CBS Television Network. The final two teams take the field at noon Eastern, with the winner taking home the 2025 championship title. Go to USLChampionship.com for all the latest playoff information.
Detroit City having a really difficult time just finding the spacing and balance between Ryan Williams and Jay Chapman. Once Jay Chapman picks up that ball, there's three Riverhound players surrounding him. You need more options. Atas Youth needs to come to feet. Cedeno needs to become a little bit more of a viable option. Midfield battle's going in favor of the Riverhounds this far.
Had a decisive possession edge last week, Pittsburgh. As the game went on, Hartford bunkered in more and more. Pittsburgh had control, but really couldn't find a way through. In our conversation this week, Rob Vincent was happy with some of the looks they created in the second half of that game as they were flexing their possession muscles a bit, but feels they could be cleaner, feels they could be more dangerous here tonight. Nidrach. There's Jay Chapman. Be vital to whatever they do in the midfield tonight, Detroit City, and on set pieces. LaFleur. Chapman at pivot point in the midfield. Haven't seen yet any meaningful possession in the attacking half from Detroit City. And they're forced all the way back again. Amu Mensah looking long. If they can unlock Darren Smith tonight, it's a matter of him finding net. It's very simple to say. It's not rocket science, but Danny Dicchio feels for a guy who had 10 goals this year, he probably left 10 on the table. That was an issue at times this year for Darren Smith, was consistently hitting target, consistently finishing his opportunities. On a night where opportunities may be few and far between, he has to capitalize if and when that moment comes.
His movement needs to be spectacular, Darren Smith, understanding when to run in behind, when to show defeat, because you look at the quality that he has when he is on the ball. Very clinical, very ruthless.
So is Augie Williams as he goes for goal and it whistles wide.
Love the aggressive nature here from Augie Williams. Once this ball pops out, peek over his right shoulder, no one closes down the space, so why not call your own number? Takes that first touch right there, allows him just to step into it, and he hits this thing clean. It is moving, it is swirling away, not even a courtesy dive from Saldana.
If he's at the top of his game the way we know he can be, Augie Williams, that's the X factor for Pittsburgh
100%.
in the postseason. We know that Pittsburgh can slam the door shut on opposing teams. Coming into the night 302 minutes without conceding a goal. Just a matter of what they could do at the other end because they themselves have been shut out each of their last 2 games as well.
Augie Williams is such a complete forward, especially in USL Championship, just the type of profile that he is. He has the legs to run in behind, very comfortable at linking up play, but it's his timing when he arrives into the top of the 18-yard box. So instrumental how the Riverhounds like to go forward and also put service into the attacking 18-yard box.
Pittsburgh have not conceded since October 11th against Indy 11. They were up 2-0 in that game, conceded in the 88th minute. A 3-0 win over Monterey Bay, and then scoreless draws against Phoenix in the regular season finale. And last week, 120 minutes scoreless against Hartford. So they haven't conceded in almost a month. They haven't scored in 2.5 games running now. Wheat. Looping it in, punched away by Dick, ball still loose. Good pressure from Diouf. Wins it, just scampers too far away, goal kick.
Really well done from Eric Dick as a goalkeeper. You have to be decisive when you do step off of your line and command the 6-yard box. But we've talked about Darren Smith. Notice the spaces that he picks up right between Idrash and Suber. If he can play in the blind side, now getting him the ball is going to be important to giving him success going forward. It's a good heads-up play from Eric Dick.
We're keeping an eye on North Carolina and Rhode Island as well. About to go to halftime, still scoreless there. So the winner of this gets the winner of that. Oh, and there is actually, as you see it, the halftime whistle. So to the break, 0-0 in Cary. Rhode Island looking to get back to the Eastern Conference Final. Last year winning the Eastern Conference in their inaugural season. Faltering at the finish line against Colorado Springs. Barnes.
Tough ball.
Falls now for Pittsburgh. Sample recovers, feeds it into space at 2. Sample. Augie Williams knocks it down. Detroit City working away through Cedeno. Turned right back into the pressure. Sample wins it back. Behind Mertz. Playing with fire right now, Detroit City. And again, lackadaisical by LaFleur. It stays in. Centered on Mumenta gets a piece of it. Asleep at the wheel defensively.
With the amount of pressure that you are under if you are Detroit City, there's nothing wrong with playing Route 1 and relieving some of the pressure. Gaining some real estate high up the field because the Riverhounds are doing a fantastic job repressing and squeezing this game and keeping it in their final third of play.
Chapman Williams has really been that unsung hero for Detroit City. Danny Dicchio heaped some praise on him this week, Ryan Williams. Talk about Pittsburgh and some of their goal-scoring issues, having been shut out themselves the last couple of games. It's really been all or nothing for Detroit City at times this year. Go back to September 6th. They scored 4 in a win over Orange County. In the 8 games since then, they've scored 5. So 4 in that one game, 5 in the 8 games since then. They've found a way to turn out results, including last week's 1-0 over Louisville. Select is proud to be the official match ball supplier of the USL Championship. From the Academy to the big leagues, Select is there every step of the way. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest product specials and more. Select, the player's choice.
With both teams playing with wingbacks, Danny Dicchio wants LaFleur and Yamazaki to be really aggressive and almost staying on that top line. What they'll do, that will pin back the Riverhounds, which will allow Ryan Williams, Jay Chapman, and Cedeno more time and space centrally. Dangerous set piece here for Williams.
Williams with backspin, Dick tracking it and gathers it. He didn't have to do much last week, Eric Dick, but he made that key save in the shootout. Pittsburgh rattled off 4 conversions from that point on.
And just notice out of possession, Detroit sitting into a 4-4-2 formation. So centrally, the Riverhounds have a numerical advantage. That is when you need Robbie Mertz and Charles Ault to stay in that half pocket of space, because that is when you can bait out one of the 2 center backs of Detroit City and then play in Augie Williams.
Griffin. Robbie Mertz can't handle it. Edrach touches it along. Mertz thought about switching for Etu. It's kept on this side for Perrin Barnes. Charles all brought down. Cleanly so.
Again, just no options for Detroit City. Darren Smith is about 15 yards away from your defending goal, and that is your number 9. That is your striker. He needs to be more disciplined at staying high and occupying the back line of the Riverhounds.
The number that sticks out right now is Detroit City's actually winning the possession battle, 53-47, but it's been empty possession in the midfield and on their own defensive end, trying to solve this Pittsburgh equation, because they themselves only have 9 final third entries compared to 21 of Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh with nearly triple the final third entries with less of the possession.
All of the possession for Detroit City has been within 30 yards. They're defending goal in areas just like this. But if you can have the ability to bypass that initial line of pressure, now there's a lot of green grass that Darren Smith and Atas Diouf can run into.
Etu. Sample. Beto Edrach. One of the 2 rookies that has anchored this back line either side of Sean Suber all season, the other being Guillaume Vactor, who again is out injured tonight. That's why Luke Biasi steps in as the left center back. Barnes looking for it after he got ahead to it. It'll be a throw for Pittsburgh. They showed a couple times last week a willingness to utilize that long throw and look for the flick on.
Not the initial ball coming in. It's a secondary action that can really cause some concern. So staying tuned in mentally, really important in situations like this.
Give it a week. That'll come down with snow on it next time. I mean that. There's supposed to be snow in this region this coming week. Cleveland, Detroit, Chicago, Pittsburgh.
Not a fan.
Welcome to November in the
Not
Midwest.
a fan.
Pittsburgh Classic meets Oktoberfest, Indians won't be disappointed. Grab our loaded pierogies. Get your hands on these delicious Oktoberfest specials today.
So much of Pittsburgh's happenings flow through Suber. Pushed it up to Sample and now wide to Mertz. Suber, their center back, leads in passes this season. Etu tries to force his way through. Williams.
Good work from Jay Chapman. He's had himself a good game through 30 minutes here. Digging down deep, doing the dirty side of the ball, clogging passing lanes. Positioning has been fantastic.
One quickly, Pittsburgh. Biasi. Free kick coming for the Riverhounds. They're starting to get frustrated that a car hasn't been shown yet to Detroit City, as all was brought down that time.
Talked about centrally, if you can get Danny Griffin, Robbie Mertz, and Charles All a little bit higher up the field, now you have a numerical advantage. Shane Wheat, that is one of the three center backs saying like for like with Charles All, so that means that Ryan Williams is already backtracking. Bit late in terms of that challenge, but those are the areas that you need Robbie Mertz and Charles All to operate in those half spaces between the lines of Detroit.
Half an hour gone here at Highmark Stadium. Happy to have you with us on ESPN Plus with MLS veteran Ricky Lopez-Espin. I'm Joe Malfa. Scoreless still between Pittsburgh and Detroit City in the Eastern Conference semifinal. Bryant flicks it all the way back now to Saldana. Won't go down as a save, but counts all the same, making sure that he settles things down. It's a round later than when these teams met 2 years ago. Detroit City have actually just essentially flip-flopped their pathway. 2 years ago, they beat Pittsburgh in the opening round and then lost to Lou City 4-0 in the Eastern Conference semifinal. They reversed the opponents this time, and they're hoping to reverse the result as well, as Diouf tries to tunnel away through. All brought down again. This time, Amu Mensah felt a bit more cynical this time, trying to stop a transitional moment. There'll be leeway, though, it seems, for the captain.
Very quiet. Thought the early part to this game out to see if looking for a foul here. Nothing in that whatsoever. Really well done from Midrash. Just to double down. And I'll tell you what, Amu Mensah is very lucky not to see yellow here. Soft or not, it's a foul. It's a denial of a transitional moment. If I am a Pittsburgh Riverhounds player, I'm in the ear of Natalie Simon saying that the captain for Detroit City should be in the book.
Scored that game-winning goal last week as well. You can watch the USL Championship in Spanish on TUDN, the nation's leading Spanish-language sports network. Championship final will also be available in Spanish along with select matches in 2026. Go to uslchampionship.com for the complete USL TV listings. A lot of those listings will be in 26. We are running out of runway in 2025. There's a possibility, I believe, that all 4 matchups here tonight could be simultaneous. There will be an overlap, or a chance for an overlap of all of them. And of course, the 2 conference finals next week and the final on the 22nd. The last kickoff is New Mexico hosting Orange County at 9 Eastern. That is 50 minutes from now. North Carolina, Rhode Island have yet to begin their second half, so we should have all 4 games going on at the same time. Maybe not for long, depending on when that North Carolina, Rhode Island game ends. If it ends in 90, it only might be a 5-minute or so overlap of the 4 games, but we can dream. Have your multiple screens and your quad boxes ready. Tulsa and Phoenix have actually just kicked off. And New Mexico, Orange County, about an hour from now.
See Tulsa, Phoenix rising. What an intriguing matchup that's going to be. 2 teams, extremely physical. The one that I know you and I are really excited about in terms of the technical quality, the tactical prowess between New Mexico and Orange County, two teams that are extremely clean in possession, that want to play, that want to have the ball on the ground. Two very different games in the Western Conference.
That is the technical game of the week in New Mexico, Orange County. In terms of the action and the activity, it might be that Tulsa Phoenix game on the smaller dimensions on Tulsa's home stadium. Last week's game was case in point when Tulsa beat Colorado Springs 1-0 in extra time. That game felt like a 5-5 game, not a 0-0 game after 90 minutes. Tulsa Phoenix is similar to this one, teams that met 3 times in the regular season combined between their 2 regular season matchups and the Jägermeister Cup meeting. So, could see that play out again with teams who are sick of each other, as we've seen in the first half here with these teams being physical. Go Detroit City's way. I believe for a foul against Augie Williams as he lunged in late on Amu Mensah.
Great work from Devin Amu-Mensah. Notice how he just reads a run of Augie Williams, and he does get there first. As he just pokes the ball away, the follow through from Augie Williams is what gets him in trouble. There is contact. And again, initially, and you looked at each other, but as we have the luxury of replay here, really good call from Natalie Simon.
Again, Natalie Simon, a very experienced referee. You see the patch on her chest, a FIFA referee. Highest order that we usually see around these parts. Beyond just a pro referee or a U.S. soccer referee, an officially licensed FIFA referee. Well respected, and has been on top of it so far through 35 minutes. You could argue, as you mentioned a few minutes ago, yellow could have been shown to Amu Mensah, but I think, you tell me if I'm wrong as a former player, I think players prefer not seeing it.
100%.
If you're going to err on one of those two sides, you'd rather shy away from the cards than be card happy.
But now you ask for consistency, right? That is the argument that every single player is going to have in this match, saying if Devin Amu-Mensah does not see yellow, you're not going to give a yellow for a similar challenge in that second half. And that was a perfect picture of Augie Williams and Devin Amu-Mensah jawing at each other. Something to keep an eye out on.
The second half did just get underway between North Carolina and Rhode Island. We'll keep you abreast of all that's going on over there as the winner of that meets the winner of this in next week's conference final. Was another interesting one of contrasting styles, the way Rhode Island likes to bully teams and bullied Charleston last week, bullied their way to a final last year. North Carolina, a bit of a younger team, more finesse team. Obviously, I haven't taken in the first 45 minutes of that one as we're pretty occupied here. Curious if it's taken on that type of identity over there as well.
Just looking at the stats of that game, Rhode Island 54% possession, leading in shots. North Carolina shots on target 2-1. Seems like it'd be an even match, reflective of the scoreline.
Say in front of you fouls or no? It does. 14 combined fouls between the teams. So yeah, expected physical between those sides. Under 10 to go here in our first half. Wheat looking long. Smith seemed to have a beat on it, but it's there for Dick, who has not seen a shot yet in this one.
If you can recognize that space earlier for Detroit City, that is when you allow Darren Smith to run in to that green grass in front. Because we're seeing the Riverhounds step high, being really aggressive at trying to win the ball back as quickly as they can. If you can bait them out and then go over the top, that'll be your best bet to get Darren Smith involved.
Suber, league leader in clearances, team leader for Pittsburgh in passes. Unsung hero. If I had a vote, which I don't, he'd be a first-team All-League center back. He's been that important this year for the Riverhounds.
Iron Man this year.
Iron Man as well.
Every single minute of every single game. Exactly what you need from that position. There's center back Sean Suber.
And of course, the first time that he's really in the spotlight is when he makes the winning penalty last week. You strikers get all the attention. Never about the center backs. by the way, the only other player to play every minute, another center back, and Elias Gartig. Barnes. Back and through. Barnes will keep it in at the end line with the service for Williams. Amumensa gets there first. On the volley, Griffin was lining it up, but it never fell to him. As Ryan Williams just nudged it away, and it's all the way back to Dick. This is a narrower field by a few yards than you typically see. That's why the middle is so clogged at all times. That battle has been so important so far tonight. LaFleur. Again, Isaiah LaFleur.
Just look at the commitment off the ball for the Riverhounds. Augie Williams, about 20 yards from his defensive goal. Every single player bought in to drop down and defend.
Diouf, capable of the spectacular individually. Diouf slipped. Otherwise, he had an open pass, it seemed like, at the end line. LaFleur, Cedeno. Augie Williams giving Amumensa all he could handle. It's back to Saldana.
It's really well done from Devin Amumensa. Trying to squeeze the game. Michael Bryant, Shane Wheat. All three center backs very comfortable on the ball, but also their positioning to try to negate any transitional moments on display there.
This game has been as tight as the games were last week. My favorite stat from last week, there were 8 games played. All 8 winners had a clean sheet, but there were actually 11 clean sheets. 3 of the losers also had clean sheets before they then lost in penalties. So 8 games, 11 clean sheets. Goals very much at a premium.
Good feed.
And first corner coming for Detroit City.
Very similar to what we've seen from Detroit City through the first 41 minutes that we saw at Lid Family Stadium. Defend, suffer together, and win a dangerous set piece here. Good work from Yamazaki. You're looking for quality in terms of the service to let your big center backs get on the end of it.
Could it be copy and paste from last week? It was around this same juncture of the match that they smashed and grabbed and scored off the corner and rode that 1-0 to the finish line, downing Lou City. 41st, well, by the time it's taken, 42nd minute at Highmark Stadium. Only difference is last week it was Jay Chapman delivering. This time it's Ryan Williams floating it up. Shout for a handball as Amumensa tried flicking it toward goal. They could be caught out here. We're waiting wisely for the offside flag there. Aaron Barnes, and it comes up on Ates Diouf.
Ryan Williams has his eyes set on Devin Amumensa, who's making this run towards that far post and just looking for this ball back across. And the end, really well done by the Riverhounds. Nothing in that whatsoever.
Kept alive here by Charles Hall, looking back across to Augie Williams, had it blocked. Comes out to Barnes. Amumensa can't get there, diving header away, out for a corner. Augie Williams was lurking. Shane Wheat gets it out of dodge. Corner coming for the Riverhounds.
Fantastic recognition from all as Augie Williams challenged for the initial one. He needs to be vertical, but you need to pull a trigger there. As you cut it back across, you allow LaFleur to make himself big, but just notice a recognition, the last-ditch defending effort from Wheat at that far post. If not, Augie Williams is by himself at the second stick.
Colin Market's corner kick. March didn't like his run-up. He'll reposition and go again. Meanwhile, Natalie Simon bringing the best of friends, Amumensa and Augie Williams together. They've been locking horns quite a bit in this first half. Mertz. He similarly struggled on corners last week against Hartford Athletic. Ended up in double figures for corners last week, and it still never really amounted to anything. Piedrach switching. Mertz cuts it off before Biasi. Mertz had it blocked.
I looked over and the dude
As Diouf shields it away from Perrin Barnes. Chapman. Jay Chapman, a player whose experience you rely on. On a night like this, he won MLS Cup and Supporters Shield with Toronto FC back in 2017. Cap for the Canadian national team. 31-year-old experienced midfielder. Junior Etu. Swinging it through, bouncing in front of Sample. Saldana gets there first.
Well done from Robbie Mertz, just taking a different angle as he provides a width that opens up the run from Bradley Sample, and he goes unmarked. If that ball is a little bit lighter, he gets on the end of it. Good recognition from Saldana to come off of his line and make himself big. But those are the types of movements that Danny Dichio mentioned on our phone call, saying the runs out of midfield we need to be aware of.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be 3 minutes.
3 minutes of first half stoppage time. Mostly due to Jesse El Cedeno's injury early in this half. Has, of course, since carried on without any issue, thankfully. Williams brings it down. Pirouettes through the traffic, still with it somehow. Now it's Smith. Ricochets to Robbie Mertz, heavy touch. It's Wheat who closed down quickly, now Etu.
Good turn.
Charles all into space, last touch too heavy. Amu Mensah cleans it up.
Need to be really careful if you are Jay Chapman. You cannot get beat that easily. Thankfully, Devin Amu-Mensah is there to step in. Really well done in terms of the timing from the center back.
Charles all in that central location. That's one of the little nuanced differences in this Rob Vincent system versus Bob Lilly. Long throw headed away by Amu Mensah. Bob Lilly essentially had a rule of thumb where if one wingback goes, the other wingback stays. Rob Vincent wants both wingbacks to go and Bradley Sample to stay in the middle. That keeps Charles all central in that 10 position. It's where he's best, and Jay Chapman learned that the hard way there.
Just so quick off the turn, Charles all is, but also gives you legs, the ability to run in beyond Augie Williams. So there's a really good balance within that front three between Robbie Mertz, Augie Williams, and Charles all in the way that they attack in the spaces that they pick up. Perfect example here. That run right underneath Williams here.
Here he is, all out wide. Too much on it. Goal kick. Final minute of stoppage time in this first half. Two teams that might be pretty indifferent to the way this first half has gone. Neither has been spectacular, neither's done anything wrong. Here we are, locked at zeros.
Through the performance, if you are Rob Vincent, you're probably the happier of the two managers. You've been on the ball a little bit more threatening of the opposing goal, but you look at the scoreline, Danny Dichio is going to take this every single day of the week. 0-0 here at Highmark Stadium. Haven't really conceded any clear-cut goal-scoring opportunities through your back end. It's exactly what we expected, Joe. This game was going to be cagey. This game was going to be played centrally and stop and start nature.
I can't definitively say that Danny Dicchio wouldn't take 0-0 through 120 if you asked him. He'd rather steal a goal like they did last week on a set piece, and that's how this first half is going to end, with a set piece in the attacking half field for Detroit City. This changes everything if they can find a way. From this distance, from this angle, though, it won't be easy. It'll take a brilliant service from Ryan Williams. Hangs up there, Dick gathers, and that should do it for this first half. There's a whistle from Natalie Simon, 0-0 into the break.
Just too much air under that from Ryan Williams. Eric Dick's going to win that ball every single day of the week. Exactly what we talked about. Danny Dicchio has to be pleased. Defensively, you're in really stout, haven't really got anything going forward, so a set piece can be the difference maker in that second 45 minutes. But for Rob Vincent, you've seen the ball, you've been more threatening. Now you need to create more goal-scoring opportunities. Robbie Mertz, Augie Williams are the players that can produce that magic.
We knew it was going to be tight tonight. These teams met 3 times in the regular season, a win each and a draw mixed in there. Nothing separating them through 45 minutes. Our halftime score brought to you by 84 Lumber is 0-0 between the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and Detroit City FC in the Eastern Conference semifinal.
The build. What is it that drives us to follow our dreams, to build them from scratch, from the heart? For us, it's the same ideals of hard work, craftsmanship, and unity that define our great nation. It begins with trusting in yourself and having a team behind you that believes any dream is possible, and that every project is a vision of what can be, of who you are, and the future that you continue to build. From our family to yours, 84 Lumber, where quality and pride come together, one dream at a time.
At AHN, good heart care starts before you're just not feeling right. Before you say, it'll go away on its own. Before it doesn't. Because before an emergency, there's time to stop heart problems with a simple preventative heart check. At AHN, we see you.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. This is an exciting day for the South Shore. Please welcome the owner of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Tuffy Schellenberger.
Today, we are announcing and going to show you the plans of the expanding our new stadium from 5,000 to 15,000. I'd like to bring the players up here to unveil the renderings of the new stadium. And you know, you have to win in Pittsburgh. I don't care what you do. We're not going to quit till we win the championship, and then we're not going to quit after that.
At the break between Pittsburgh and Detroit City, almost having a good time. It's scoreless, though, between these two sides. Very cagey affair in the first half of action. Pittsburgh's player pathway has been the focus this season, seeing a number of players come through that system. Let's learn a bit more about Ben Martino.
I'm Ben Martino and play for the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. I did only the goalkeeper academy for a year in 2014, and then I officially joined the actual academy in 2015. At that age, you know, it was more about just falling in love with soccer, and a couple years of that transitioned into, you know, I was starting to become a lot better goalkeeper.
Benny was very consistent. Things that he needed to improve on, he would stay, do the extra work, but he was always mentally and physically prepared for anything that was kind of thrown in his direction.
You know, he came through our system, and that's what we want to continue to have. just shows that we're doing the right things in our academy if all of a sudden now we have these kids training with the first team and then eventually signing with the first team. It just means that we're putting the work in at the lower levels. It gives the younger goalkeepers that are in our academy something to go, okay, they are looking in our academy. It's not like they're always going outside of the academy.
Maybe halfway, towards the end of my time at the academy, I was being recruited by a lot of schools, and obviously that was a really big thing that RDA helped me with was, facilitating those connections with those schools, and they help you, contact schools, write emails to schools, help you get into ID camps. They help me be very proactive with the whole college process, especially even from the start of my freshman year.
There's no magic formula for the pros. They do the same thing that the academy goalkeepers do. They just do it at a higher tempo and a more consistent tempo. So, Benny is great with taking Ryan under his wing, putting his arm around him, talking to him about little things, whether it's in the middle of a drill or whether it's just when they're having water, right? So it's one thing when I'm talking to Ryan or Dylan, but it's a whole nother thing also when the pros are taking that time, makes Ryan feel even more invested by it, into the system. And so if we can all just help each other out, then it's going to make for a great environment from top to bottom in the whole goalkeeping department.
If you're in the right environment and you're willing to give it your all and give it your best, day in and day out, your dreams and your goals, anything is possible. And Benny, he sets that. He proves that and validates that anything is possible as long as you're willing to put that work in.
This week on USL All Access, what do you get when you take desire, talent, belief? Mix it all together, then set it ablaze. You get the craziest round we've ever seen in the history of USL Championship playoffs.
Rhode Island conquered Charleston in their own backyard.
A 7-2 upset!
Plus, departures in Colorado Springs, dismissals in El Paso, and conference semifinal previews.
Whoa, termites can eat a pound of wood a day. 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 What's wrong, Daddy? Daddy? You okay?
Keep termites out of your home and your head with our premium guarantee that covers up to $250,000 in new termite damage. Before panic shows up, Terminix it.
Tell them this like it.
I didn't know that worms lived in turf pellets, but apparently they do. Whatever you do in life, do it with 50% the vigor of this gentleman, and you will be going places. It's scoreless at the break between Pittsburgh and Detroit City. That guy wants that to change in half number 2. He needs to be a one-man cheerleader for this Pittsburgh Riverhounds team. All right, we got to actually get serious here for a moment. Around the league, a lot going on right now, even though the season is coming to an end. Premier League executive joining the league, Tony Scholes, will be the president of the new Division I Men's League. It's a great insight to the future of this league, and the future also murky for a couple of clubs. Not Jacksonville, they have their man. They have Liam Fox in charge. The rookie Colorado Springs, El Paso, and Oakland all will be searching for a new head man.
3 big-time jobs up for grabs in the Western Conference. The Oakland Roots really surprised that Benny Feilhaber did not get another season under his belt. The Switchbacks, it's an intense saying, we won the trophy last year. We did not do well enough that we thought, so we're going to move on from James Chambers and company.
Take a look at the out-of-town scores. The game's going on right now, and another game to join us in a little bit. The out-of-town scores, well, there are no scores. We're scoreless. Those 2 games are scoreless, and it's another illustration of how goals are at a premium in the playoffs, Ricky.
Very similar to what we saw last weekend in USL Championship. Teams are being very difficult to break through. Exactly what you would expect in a playoff situation. But now this is when the big-time players need to produce those little bit of individual brilliance and be those game changers that they're brought in to be.
Well, we'll see if anybody gets their kicks on Route 66 in a little while here at New Mexico and Orange County. Ricky, I think we're in agreement. This is going to be the most technically appealing game of the weekend.
No Chris Hagart for Orange County. That is going to be massive for Danny Stone and company.
We'll see what goes on there, but we're focused on what goes on here. Pittsburgh and Detroit City halfway through, still scoreless. Half number 2 into Steel City on the way.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. This is an exciting day for the South Shore. Please welcome the owner of the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, Tuffy Schellenberger.
Today, we are announcing and going to show you the plans of the expanding our new stadium from 5,000 to 15,000. I'd like to bring the players up here to unveil the renderings of the new stadium. And you know, you have to win in Pittsburgh. I don't care what you do. We're not going to quit till we win the championship, and then we're not going to quit after that.
The build. What is it that drives us to follow our dreams? To build them from scratch, from the heart. For us, it's the same ideals of hard work, craftsmanship, and unity that define our great nation. It begins with trusting in yourself and having a team behind you that believes any dream is possible, and that every project is a vision of what can be, of who you are, and the future that you continue to build. From our family to yours, 84 Lumber, where quality and pride come together, one dream at a time.
I don't know where Natalie Simon went at halftime, but we need an official on the field here for whatever's going on. Knocker ball at the break. It looks like it's still 0-0 in whatever this was, as it was in our first half here. As we take a look at the, let him get up.
That's clean.
Oh my goodness.
That's clean.
Well, the first half was
and that is a last-ditch defending effort to keep this thing 0-0.
Well, we're halfway through 90. I can't necessarily say we're halfway through the game. That might come at the 60-minute mark. If last week especially was any indication for Pittsburgh, who went the distance scoreless against Hartford. And away we go in half number 2. Detroit City left to right in the white and green. Pittsburgh right to left in the black and yellow. Alongside Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malfa. Eastern Conference semifinal at Highmark Stadium. A rematch of 2 years ago when Detroit City came in and won it 1-0 on a late goal by Dominic Gasso. Look out here, given away. Curler, it's wide! First time hit from Charles Ault trying to catch Carlos Saldana off his line, and he left it wide.
The Riverhounds are finding success when Robbie Mertz peels wide because that opens up the game centrally. Trying to win second ball's really unfortunate here for Ryan Williams, but I love this from Charles Ault. Gets his right body position, and all he's trying to do here is try to get it up and down and bend it around Saldana. Really good effort and really strong mentality from Charles Ault to start this second half for the Riverhounds.
Similar to last week, after Pittsburgh struggled really in the first half, out of the blocks, dangerous in the second half, and then the game settled down again. You wonder if that's something that Rob Vincent and crew talked about, starting the second half the same way as last week, except actually finishing off one of the chances. This goes, the more nervy it gets for the home supporters after seeing last week go the distance. You don't want to play with that sort of fire week in, week out. Looking for Williams, fronted by Amu Mensah. I do believe we had 6 river balls last week. Just to point out, we have not had one tonight yet.
Over under 3?
Oh, at this point, I would have to say under. Although we could have 45 plus 3. We could have 75 minutes remaining, so maybe.
All 6 that went over last week, they're gone, or do you have someone out there?
I think it was 6. I hope to have somebody out there. Otherwise, I mean, I know Select is a terrific partner of the league, but you can only have so many balls ready. Robbie Mertz trying to deposit this Select ball in the back of the net as he goes for a goal. And all it troubles is the fans up along the railing, but that's 2 good looks in 3 minutes now for Pittsburgh.
A little bit of a glimpse of how good Robbie Mertz is in 1v1 situations. First it's Ryan Williams, now it's Jay Chapman, really sloppy centrally for Detroit City. But as Robbie Mertz approaches this ball, he's leaning back and almost stabs at it. That's why he gets under it and it goes up and over the crossbar.
Pressure coming in from Pittsburgh, and they win it again. Sample. Oh, good step to win it back by Bryant. It looked like he took an awkward step at the end of that and was hobbled, Michael Bryant. Keep an eye on it.
And just notice, Joe, in the last 3 times that we've seen a player centrally for Detroit City pick up the ball, their body position when they arrive, they're facing towards their defensive goal. As a center midfielder, you want to have an open body position that you can see the pressure on coming, but you can also see where the ball's coming and where it's going to go. That is why we've seen Jay Chapman and Ryan Williams give the ball over cheaply.
For a handball against Bryant. Referee says play on, back to Amu Mensah. 8 straight years in the playoffs for the Riverhounds. Second best streak in the league behind Lou City's 11. They've never made it beyond this round in USL Championship's modern era. Worked back to Diouf. Has the run of LaFleur, squeaks it through, but left it long.
Diouf is trying to slow himself down, allowing LaFleur to make this run. But at a certain point, you have to understand the window has closed, and you just have to put your foot on the ball and circulate it back around, or go by yourself. Diouf does have that quality to produce magic. And he's a player that Danny Dico needs to see a little bit more of in this second half if Detroit City wants to find the back of the net.
Augie Williams. Robbie Mertz. Junior Etu's rotated inside as the target man for now. Mertz still with it. Free kick coming. He is so tricky with the ball, does a great job of getting his body in between the defender and the ball, and now a free kick in a very promising area.
Just so technically clean, Robbie Mertz is, and so comfortable in tight areas. Clean feet, quick, low center of gravity. And it all starts with Yamazaki. Initially, he starts his play, and he's essentially Shane Wheat needs to come across, so there's slow in rotation. Just so clever from Robbie Mertz. He feels any sort of contact, whether it is from Cedeno or Yamazaki, he's gonna go down, makes the most of it, and wins a fantastic location in favor of the Riverhounds to really test Saldana and the Detroit City back line.
Conference semifinals haven't seen a goal yet. Scoreless in North Carolina in the 81st minute. Scoreless in Tulsa in the 41st minute. Scoreless here in the 52nd minute. Will that change as Mertz stands over it? Robbie Mertz toward that back post. It's wide off the deflection and out for a corner.
This ball in from Robbie Mertz is flawless. You always want to aim towards that far post because if someone touches it, it's a nightmare. It can end up, but if no one does, it goes into that far corner. Great ball in, great shape. And Darren Smith nearly an uh-oh moment and puts the ball into his own net.
Cohen Market's corner kick. Mertz drops it in. The header is over the bar from Beto Idrach. He's scored on a big header here already this year. Actually down at this end of the field in Open Cup in the last minute to beat NYCFC and nearly had a magic moment again.
The ability to change his angle here from Idrach is everything. Starts goal side of Michael Bryant the last second, peels off with the shoulder, does everything right. Just needs to let it drop a little bit deeper to really test Saldana at that far post.
Never actually scored in the regular season, but he had that goal in Open Cup when it mattered most at the time. Before Pittsburgh went on and fell against Philadelphia Union. Saldana being pressured and just gives it away. Robbie Mertz wants to go quickly. Williams, there's some life to this Pittsburgh team here to begin this second half. Can Detroit City weather the storm?
Next 5 minutes, crucial for both of these sides for different reasons. For Pittsburgh, you continue the momentum. You continue using the thousands here at Highmark as a 12th player. And for Detroit City, you have to have and lean on your experience just to put your foot on the ball and take the sting out of everything in this second half.
Soccer season's here. SeatGeek is the official ticketing partner of the USL. Get all your USL tickets and more from the #1 ticketing site, SeatGeek, your ticket to great seats. Told there is a goal from elsewhere. Let's take it in together. Oh, it's Rhode Island. Rhode Island with the first goal of the match. 81st minute. Former Pittsburgh Riverhound, former MVP Albert Dequa nets it. So Rhode Island now, as it stands, 6 minutes plus stoppage away from a second straight trip to the Eastern Conference Final in their second year of existence. Dick sends it long. Taking a throw for Pittsburgh. Griffin stepping through, lays it off. Out wide for Barnes, traffic in front, and he scuffed it.
If you can start on one side of the field and end on the other for the Riverhounds, you're going to find success because Detroit City's just trying to squeeze this game and keep it on one side of the field. Danny Griffin does a really good job at taking that extra touch, allowing Edrash to push up, which gives Barnes the ability to be aggressive in that final third. Just need a little bit more composure and more quality to give your teammate the chance on the service.
I don't know that Pittsburgh needs any additional motivation, Ricky, but you wonder, this is all stuff that I guess there's really no right or wrong answer if you're on the bench, if you're the coaching staff. You want them focused on this game and just getting through. But is it any extra motivation? Would you like to know that Rhode Island is winning, meaning that if you win, you're hosting next week as well? Do you care? Do you want to know that as a player, or do you not want the information overload?
You don't want the information. As a player, not once are you thinking about another game. Are you thinking about anything going on beyond the white line? So all the 11 players are on the field right now. The bench might know, but all the players that are on the field right now could care less about what's happening elsewhere.
Well, it will matter to them if they go on and win this, Pittsburgh, and Rhode Island holds on, because the Riverhounds would host the conference final here at Highmark. From distance, it's blocked by a teammate. Robbie Mertz got in the way of that shot from Charles Ault. Play on. Throw for Pittsburgh. There's our first river ball of the evening.
So someone waiting out there? Or is it, okay, we have to go through the fence, we get on a boat or jet ski, whatever they have out there?
We'll get back to that. Fizzed in front, ball still loose, and it ends up in the arms of Saldana off of Wheat. Sometimes better to be lucky than good. A couple of favorable bounces in there for Detroit City.
This is when, if you are Robbie Mertz, you need to be a little bit more active. Left side of your screen, Augie Williams does a phenomenal job at occupying Michael Bryant, but this is when you need to crash. You need to get goal side, and after that action, you see Augie Williams signaling to Robbie Mertz, where's the second post run? Because if you do, it's 1-0 Pittsburgh.
So to your question, in the summer, we had a camera out there, and it looked like there was a gentleman on a jet ski scooping them up. I don't know if that still holds when it gets colder now. I think at this point, maybe you just count it as a lost item and you move on. I don't know. Is it a tax write-off if it goes out? Well, if you can't watch the match, turn on SiriusXM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk that includes USL All Access on Tuesday nights, plus live matches from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more, all on SiriusXM FC 157 and the SiriusXM app.
Good ball.
Better tackle. Cedeno waits for it. Gets it back in quickly to Wheat. Ticking toward the hour mark at Highmark Stadium. Cedeno goes down. Referee deemed it clean. Chapman comes through with it. That's Juve. Menso works it back. Floating it toward the end line and gathered by Dick. A little chest pass. It's basketball season around these parts. Gets it out quickly to Charles Ault. Benches starting to stir. Told it's Kobe Hernandez Foster up and ready, and that he'll be replacing Jessiel Cedeno. Adds a little bit of a different dynamic in the midfield. Both will occupy the same position, but their traits are a bit different.
Hernandez Foster is going to give Detroit City more of that ball circulation, very technically clean, but wants to have the ball do all the work. Cedeno's more of a runner, wants to dribble, wants to combine. A little bit more structure as well for Danny Dichio, which over the last 10 to 15 minutes, they've lost every 50-50 duel in that central location.
Wheat sending it long, looking for Smith, falls for Diouf. He's never afraid from a long distance strike. Atez Diouf, but lays it off. Williams, Chapman, and gives it away. In the 90th minute now between Rhode Island and North Carolina. Rhode Island up 1-0, entering 7 minutes of stoppage time. Looks like Detroit City is holding off on that sub for now.
In Highmark Stadium history, with a total number of 6,220 fans. Thank you to each and every one of you.
62-20. The in-house attendance announced, 6,220. It is a record at Highmark Stadium. You could see why this club announced the expansion of this stadium to 15,000 in the future. They are coming apart at the seams with all these fans in Pittsburgh. And we will see that first sub now. It's Cedeno off and Hernandez Foster on, Ricky.
Cedeno never really found his footing within this game. There was glimpses, but had a really difficult time getting on the ball, making things happen. Kobe Hernandez Foster, we mentioned he's going to give you more of that defensive bite next to Ryan Williams and Jay Chapman. And on the ball, he's going to have the ability to spray, break lines. So getting him up to rhythm is going to be really important to the success for Detroit City and Danny Dichio going forward. eFootball's here. Live your dream, rep your team, and play as your favorite USL Championship club. eFootball's free to play. Download now.
Yamazaki taking his time. Time will become an operating word shortly here. Running out of it in the 90. 27 minutes to go before we head for another 30. Pittsburgh came into the night having not conceded in 302 minutes. That is up to 365 now. They also hadn't scored in 2 games, verging on 3. Detroit City have had their own woes in the goal scoring department. Only had 5 goals over the last 8 games. Amu Mensah launches it on the long throw, bounces in front for Diouf and cleared. That's maybe what it might take tonight. Just having a bounce go your way on a long throw on a corner. Just finding anything you can. Update to get you from Carey in a moment. Pittsburgh looking for the opening goal. Augie Williams jostling for position. It is now 2-0 Rhode Island. They tack on another in stoppage time. And it seems clear now that they are on the way through to next week's Eastern Conference Final. Question is, will they be hosting Detroit City in a 7-8 matchup, or will they be visiting Pittsburgh? Play, throw for Pittsburgh. There's some more urgency from the Riverhounds now. Getting everything in play a bit quicker. Free kick coming for the Riverhounds, maybe a little bit on the outskirts of shooting range, although as we've apparently learned from elsewhere tonight, there is no such thing as an outskirt to shooting range.
Just spaces that Robbie Mertz picks up again. Notice how it's beyond Hernandez Foster. So he's backtracking, and Robbie Mertz really cleverly takes the angle, cuts across the running path of Kobe. He goes down. We talked about it in favor of Detroit. Now for the Riverhounds, not the initial ball, but any knockdown and cause of chaos right in front of the attacking 18-yard box can be the way that the Riverhounds really put this ball past Saldana.
Mertz eyeing it up. Short run up. Looks like it'll be a service, not a shot. See if they can get that knock on. Dropped in toward the end line. Stays in play. Floated in the middle. The header's wide! Denny Griffin with the jersey in the mouth, knowing what could have been.
Initially, Shane Wheat needs to do better with this ball. You need to head this ball up and away, never giving the opposition a second bite at the apple. But Danny Griffin, 6 yards out, a free header, times it to perfection. Notice how he hinges at his hips, and it gets him the power. And that is on target. It finds it back in the net. He's going to want that one back. A player of his quality should be finding that far post and giving the Riverhounds a lead.
They've been the better side, no doubt, in this second half, Pittsburgh. But they haven't yet found the target. Diouf brought down. Last week, it was off a corner that Detroit City scored the lone goal and stunned Louisville. Dicchio said that's the best feeling and the best sound. And by the best sound, silence, when you go and stun a crowd like that. The 6,220 here would fall into silence if the same happens tonight. Hernandez Foster flicked away. I shouldn't say the 62-20 because there's a good contingent of Detroit City fans that have their own section here at Highmark Stadium tonight, so at least they would be making noise. Hernandez Foster. Chapman. Shane Wheat was begging for it, but went down a bit too easily. Mertz comes away with it. Final whistle just went and carry. Rhode Island 2, North Carolina nothing. Rhode Island is back in the Eastern Conference Final.
It's incredible what Connell Smith has been able to get out of that group. A team that has struggled in terms of consistency, form for the majority of 2025. But yet with the amount of talent, the amount of physical attributes that he has at his disposal, again, fighting for the Eastern Conference trophy next week.
Again, either at home if it's Detroit City, or on the road if it's Pittsburgh. That brand new stadium they broke in this year in Rhode Island has seen some really fun clashes, and it's seen some El Clamicos and Jägermeister Cups, and it's hosted top USL Championship meetings throughout the season. Hosting a conference final next week would be something, but that is still very much up for grabs. And they'd visit Pittsburgh, they'd host Detroit City. And either way, as crazy as this sounds, Rhode Island in their second year in USL Championship will be the more experienced of the conference finalists next week, because Pittsburgh in all their years has never been there, and Detroit City, now a handful of years into USL Championship, have never made it that far. So in year two, Rhode Island 2 for 2 in making conference finals.
Exactly,
they will be the more experienced.
Exactly on par with how these playoffs have gone. But for a neutral, it is everything you would have wanted and more, the chaos.
Sample shields it off. Mertz delivering. Williams! Augie Williams with a signature moment for the Riverhounds. It's a dampened celebration because a foul was called behind the play as Natalie Simon saw a shove from Augie Williams. .20 to play, still scoreless. Chapman. Pittsburgh has to be careful here defensively to not let their guard down after they had that taken away from them. Wheat.
Just left side of your screen, I want you to notice the movement of Augie Williams as Shane Wheat comes across. Augie Williams gets to the blind side, but this little action, little bump in the back of Shane Wheat right there, that's a foul. Every single day, it's a correct call from Natalie Simon, who again is spot on. She's been phenomenal refereeing this game.
It took a little while for Pittsburgh to notice. Your first instinct as a striker is to go and check to make sure you were onside. You saw that glance from Augie Williams. He saw that he was on. He proceeded to celebrate, and then he realized, no, the call came from the middle of the field, not the AR. And as you said, spot on, no doubt a foul.
But there's just no need if you're Augie Williams. You're playing on the blind side of Shane Wheat. You have the advantage. You can time this ball because Shane Wheat has zero idea where you are in terms of the relationship of location. Now as we take another look at it, left side of your screen, number 4, Shane Wheat for Detroit City. The last second rotates back across in front of Michael Bryant, and that little bump, it's a foul. You do not need to engage in any contact for Augie Williams. The ball's over the top, and there's just simply no argument. It's a correct call from Natalie Simon and her crew.
You did just hear a little bit of a cheer from the crowd when the public address announcer said the final score of the other game. This crowd is no doubt in tune to the fact that with Rhode Island winning, now Pittsburgh is first in the hosting pecking order as 3-seed North Carolina fell. Pittsburgh, the 4 seed, the highest remaining seed now in the Eastern Conference. They win this game, they're hosting next week. And as crazy as it sounds, depending on how things go elsewhere tonight, Pittsburgh could be having a bid to host the final. Because out west, you've got 1 Tulsa, 3 New Mexico, and then 5 Pittsburgh, 7 Orange County. So Pittsburgh would be ahead of both Phoenix and Orange County, if that comes to pass. It was, I believe, a golden supermoon a couple of nights ago, but we're past it, and the moon has lost its upper right quadrant. You a big lunar guy, Ricky?
No, not. Pretty sure you could have guessed that. Are you?
Oh, yeah, I guessed that. You definitely are not. I enjoy the moon.
Okay. But I think that it's a waning gibbous moon, Joe.
You're really good at listening to instructions in your ear. I'll give you that at least.
Real estate marketing helps create the perfect first impression for your listing. Based right here in Pittsburgh, View features professional photography, cinematic video walkthroughs.
15 minutes remaining of the 90. Last week, here at Highmark, we needed 30 more between Pittsburgh and Hartford. That one went the distance at 0-0. And like last week, there's some more similarities. Last week we had a goal that was brought back. It was Hartford, though, who scored and had it brought back. Tonight it's Pittsburgh moments ago. Enter the Prince Tires Family Game Day Kit Sweepstakes for a chance to win a prize pack worth up to $4,000. Scan the QR code on the screen to enter today. Flex through for Barnes. Perrin Barnes floating it. Too much on it. It was caught between two minds, whether to shoot, whether to chip. Out for a goal kick.
Barnes is finding more success just because he's staying a little bit wider and a little bit higher. So now the whole game is in front of him and he can attack the ball from a blind spot. In terms of tactical, Rob Vincent has done a better job with his two outside backs, providing the width, but also creating overloads, really testing Yamazaki and LaFleur in terms of their decision making. Are they going to go 1v1? Are they going to stay compact with their back three? And that little bit of hesitation is why Pittsburgh is finding success.
Space out there for Barnes, fed that way by Griffin. Aaron Barnes drops it off. A lot of traffic there, punched away by Saldana before Williams was there at the back post. Picked up by All, delivered. Etu has it skipped by. Flag stays down. Junior Etu, back post for Williams, flicked by Amumensa. Perrin Barnes. What is it? Foul against Barnes. Both went in for it. That could have easily been a point to the spot as it was the other way. And it's a yellow for Perrin Barnes.
Atesif is a bit quicker here. Really well done in terms of recognition from Atesif as Rob Vincent's having a very animated conversation with our fourth. But just notice as this ball comes back across the commanding of the 6-yard box from Saldana, and notice how he punches it away, not allowing a second action. Right side of your screen, Atesif recognizes it, gets here right before Barnes. And again, good decision from Natalie Simon.
That is the first yellow of the evening for either side. Comes in the 78th minute. And what has been a physical, tight game, she's done a good job of keeping the peace with keeping the cards in the pocket. Dozen minutes remaining plus stoppage. Maybe 30 beyond that. It's also scoreless between Tulsa and Phoenix now into the second half. Scoreless between New Mexico and Orange County, which just started 8 minutes ago. Rhode Island is the first of the final four. They will either be visiting Pittsburgh or hosting Detroit City. It'll be a first conference final for either of these teams, going up against Rhode Island in their second conference final in 2 years of existence. Barnes, Mertz, looking for All. Shane Wheat gets ahead to it. There's a lot of one-way traffic now in the later stages of this second half. Detroit City holding on for dear life, hoping for a counter that hasn't come. Etu, onside. Wheat, great clear-out tackle and clean. It's out for a Pittsburgh throw down next to the corner flag.
Shane Wheat has set himself a fantastic game. In his defensive capabilities, his timing, when to step in. And Michael Bryan, Devin Almamenza, with the amount of pressure that they've been under, especially in this second half, done a good job in terms of their box defending.
Lined up from distance here, Saldana saves it, denying Edrach. Interesting that we haven't seen Rob Vincent dip into the bench yet. Perhaps knowing that an extra 30 minutes may be coming, wants to keep those bullets in the chamber. Just seen the one sub from Detroit City. Kobe Hernandez Foster in for Jesse El Cedeno. Jackson Walty has been a regular insertion for Pittsburgh under Rob Vincent, so too has Bertrand Jacquesin. Expect to see those two probably. Detroit City's a bit more of a wild card. Got Stephen Carroll on the back end if you're looking to lock it down. Alex Villanueva can give you some explosion off of one of the flanks. And then the veterans up top and Sebastian Guenzati. Also, Jordan Adebayo-Smith can pack a punch up top. But it's just a matter of, do Detroit City want to hold on to this? Do they want to try and start getting more of a foothold? It's a strategy game right now more than anything else. Your screen, there's two players up and ready for Detroit City. Jordan Adebayo-Smith and Stephen Carroll will have their names called. Getting into it now, Augie Williams and Shane Wheat in each other's faces. Natalie Simon blows the whistle to stop play.
Just no need between Shane Weed and Augie Williams. Shane Weed just drops his shoulder and almost targets Augie Williams. Talk about managing emotions. Everything from this point on between the years is so important. You cannot allow yourself to leave your side at a disadvantage.
Second substitution window, second and third substitutions for Detroit City. So one more window, two more subs remaining. It's Adebayo-Smith for Isaiah LaFleur and Stephen Carroll for Jay Chapman.
It's going to be a back four now for Detroit City.
Excuse us, it's Atez Diouf who came off, not Isaiah LaFleur. So more leg for leg then, with Adebayo-Smith up top for Atez Diouf. With that information now, it could still be a back three for Detroit City. To your point, if it was LaFleur coming off, natural to have shifted into a four. But again, it's Adebayo-Smith for Atez Diouf.
Responsibly sourced Southern food for every meal. Join them during happy hour every Monday through Thursday for drink and food specials.
Still going to be a back four for Detroit City. Shane Wheat will be on the right back. Devin on momentum with shifts left, and then you have four across, which will be LaFleur, Kobe Hernandez-Foster, Ryan Williams, Yamazaki, and then you have two strikers now, and Adebayo-Smith and Darren Smith, two players that are extremely vertical, so a little bit more of a structure and foundation for Danny Dike with the amount of pressure that he's been under in this second half. Defensively, his top priority.
Smith gets there. His first involvement, Darren Smith was screaming for it down the middle. This has been one of the rare moments they've had the ball in the attacking third, Detroit City. Looking for Smith, it's just over his head. Kept in by Wheat. Got open in a dangerous spot. Darren Smith, but nothing comes of it. Goal kick, it was out before Dick touched it.
Good positioning from Darren Smith. As a number 9, you always want to cause confusion. And notice how he plays in between Biasi and Barnes at this back post. Just mistimes his jump. Good ball in from Kobe Hernandez-Foster. Just a glimpse of the quality he gets.
For Barnes. LaFleur flicks it away. They're walling off Augie Williams for the time being. He's had a couple of moments in this game, but it was only when he fouled Shane Wheat on his way to the ball that he found anything open in the box. Goal that was called back now about 15 minutes ago. Adebayo Smith tried to play it off of the defender for a corner. And cleared by Pittsburgh. Augie Williams chasing. Late whistle from Natalie Simon. Williams will see yellow. Awkward late challenge he had on Michael Bryant. This could also be a spillover from a few minutes ago when he was in that spat, Augie Williams, with Shane Weed. Wanting to make sure you calm the player down.
Michael Bryant just so clever here. Understanding that Augie Williams has been involved in some extracurricular. Notice how he comes in and he just drags his left foot. And to be fair, there is contact. Notice the left foot of Michael Bryant as he arrives late. It's a right foot of Augie Williams that catches it. It's a foul. But as he invites a contact, he goes down and he gets Augie Williams in the book. Really well done for Michael Bryant, playing the game within the game.
Are you surprised that Pittsburgh have not dipped into the bench yet, or with the looming specter of an extra 30 minutes, does it track?
I think it's a combination of two. With how good the Riverhounds have been in the second half, the more threatening, Rob Vincent doesn't really want to mess with the rhythm, but also understanding that this could go 120. And as we talk about it, Berton Jacobson coming in from Charles Hall.
Berton Jacobson for Charles Hall. Berton Jacobson hasn't had the same impact in 25 as he did in 2024. Came in on loan on September 5th last year from Real Salt Lake, scored 5 goals in 7 games with 2 assists. Here he is, Jacobson behind Etu, and he was offside. This year, though, injuries perturbed the season for Jacobson. 22 appearances, 8 starts, just 1 goal.
Bit of a hybrid number 9 Jacobson is. Can slash and run into behind, very comfortable with the ball at his feet, and he's a really sneaky finisher. The space is that he arrives into the attacking 18-yard box off the shoulder of Augie Williams, so you have a real good balance spearheading your attack for Rob Vincent to see this game out.
Games going on right now, 3 goalless score lines. Tulsa and Phoenix are ticking toward the hour mark. New Mexico and Orange County are only 18 minutes in. Both goals among the 4 games tonight belong to Rhode Island, 2-0 over North Carolina. They await either Pittsburgh or Detroit City. Albert Dequap with a brace in that game. 2023 Golden Boot and Player of the Season and USL Championship on a Pittsburgh team that fell in the opening round to this Detroit City side. Curled in from the free kick, the header goes wide. Took a deflection, out for a corner in the 90th minute. After all this that we've seen in the second half, can Detroit City steal it? They do not have a single registered shot in the second half, but they've held strong defensively, and they've given themselves an opportunity. Traveling supporters hoping we don't see an extra 30 because it ends right here as Kobe Hernandez-Foster tees it up. Hernandez-Foster. Devin Amu-Mensah knocks it square. Still loose on the volley. It's blocked shot for a handball. And Pittsburgh deals with it for now. Secondary ball, shove in the back, the header. If you called it on the other side when Augie Williams scored, you call it on this side. Adebayo Smith, the guilty party, into 3 minutes now of stoppage time.
3 minutes to make some noise.
and 2. First minute of stoppage time gone. This would be 4 straight 90-minute clean sheets for Pittsburgh, but 3 straight in which they didn't score either. Ended the season 0-0 against Phoenix, 0-0 last week against Hartford after 120. Perhaps 0-0 here after 90, but it's Pittsburgh with a throw coming. Yellow for delaying the restart to Michael Bryant, which could loom large for the center back if we do indeed head to extra time.
Yellow card against Detroit City, number 12, Michael Bryant.
Suber. Sample. Barnes. Final minute of play. Robbie Mertz. Gets it again. Glanced down to Augie Williams. There's no offside. It came off of Amu Mensah, who directly played it. But it almost surprised Augie Williams. 40 seconds remaining of the 3 minutes tacked on.
Great touch.
Mertz delivering. Punched away by Saldana. He's on his line again after he was down. Drop back. Bradley Sample over the bar, and that'll likely do it for the 90. One last gasp for Pittsburgh, goes high.
Aggressive from Bradley Sample. Recognizes the space and attacks it, and has only one thing on his mind. Put it on target, Tess Saldana, but just nearly gets underneath it. And this game has 30 more minutes for a place to play in the Eastern Conference Final against Rhode Island.
Back-to-back weeks where we need an extra 30 minutes at Highmark Stadium. Pittsburgh ended up going through on penalties last week against Hartford. Detroit City playing its first extra time of the season after they beat Louisville in the 90 last week. 30 more to come between Pittsburgh and Detroit City.
At AHN, good heart care starts before you're just not feeling right. Before you say, it'll go away on its own. Before it doesn't. Because before an emergency, there's time to stop heart problems with a simple preventative heart check. At AHN, we see you.
This Pittsburgh crowd is getting used to this. Back-to-back weeks at Highmark Stadium where we need extra time. The 4-seed Pittsburgh Riverhounds, the 8-seed Detroit City FC couldn't settle it in 90. A look back at the highlights of that second half.
All one-way traffic in this second 40.
Home celebration cut short, and it remains scoreless the rest of the way. Change on the Pittsburgh side. We'll see Perrin Barnes exit and Jackson Walty enter. Curious if it drops either Bradley Sample or Jackson Walty to the back line in order to get Luke Biasi back out wide on the right side. We'll see how they line up. Renegade plays. It means something special down the river for the Steelers late in the game when you need it. Riverhounds trying to tap into that here as well. Into extra time we go. Pittsburgh, Detroit City, a date with Rhode Island in the conference final on the line.
So tactically, it's actually Danny Griffin who will play in that back line. So your double pivot for Rob Vincent to see this game out will be Bradley Sample and Jackson Walty. Luke Biasi will be the right wing back, and Danny Griffin, such an important piece for this side with his versatility, will sit right next to Sean Subert and Edrach to make that back three.
That's the second substitution used by Pittsburgh. They don't burn a window. It came during the stoppage between regulation and extra time. Both sides do get an extra sub and extra window in the extra time. That means Detroit City have 2 subs and 2 windows. Pittsburgh have 3 windows and 4 subs remaining, should they choose to use. Mertz delivering. Sample steps up and wins it. Quick strike from Jacqueson. Did it deflect? No. Goal kick.
Second time that Bradley Sample has done a really good job at predicting this ball. And when he does arrive, he wins his individual duel. You need to be stronger if you are Ryan Williams here. It's far too easy for Bradley Sample just to pick your pocket. Aggressiveness from Bertrand Jacqueson just pulls it a little bit wide. We wanted to have a little bit more composure to combine in that area of the field.
Almost deflects into the path of Darren Smith, who has been quiet. He had that one moment late in the 90, just skirted over the top of his head. He got open, dead center of the box, right at the edge of the 6. Couldn't do anything with it. Now Mertz goes down. Biasi down as well. And a free kick coming. A reminder of the yellows that we have out there. Actually, now it's only Michael Bryant on the Detroit City side. It's Augie Williams on the Pittsburgh side. Perrin Barnes had also had one, but he was subbed off. So Augie Williams and Michael Bryant, the 2 yellows.
Watch the right leg here of the floor. Luke Biasi comes in. As he just lunges in, it's a foul.
$6,220 at Highmark Stadium. Packed in tight. Record crowd for the stadium that is set to expand in the coming years to hold 15,000 fans. Mertz swings it in. On the volley, it's just rising into the Steel Army. Danny Griffin has since slipped onto that back line, but he still lurks on these set pieces.
Danny Griffin has shown over the years that he does have this in his locker to step in and produce some magic. Does a really good job in terms of his timing. The only problem is his balance is off. Leaning a little bit too far away from the ball. Just pulls it wide, but clean strike technically from Danny Griffin.
But a lot of these moments tonight for Detroit City where they're trying to just get it up the field, and it just feels like there's 13 Pittsburgh players to the 11 of Detroit City swarming and keeping it in this half.
You have to have a really good balance if you are Danny Dicchio in Detroit City now. Understanding that the repress is going to come for the Riverhounds. So again, clear your lines, play a little bit route one, and make it transitional like this.
Adebayo Smith blocked. Second effort almost gets through. Has a third chance at it here, tucks it inside and cleared.
talk about balance as not only for Detroit City as well. The Riverhounds need to be really careful. Yes, you are throwing numbers. You do have the momentum. You've been the better of the two sides. But the last thing that you want to do is just overextend yourself and leave yourself vulnerable going back the other way. So that is when you need to lean on the leadership in terms of your rest defending to always have a +1 defensively.
Given away again in the midfield, this time by Michael Bryant. Sample through. Augie Williams rounding the corner.
Well done.
It falls. And Jackson Walty had visions of grandeur. I mean, there's no way you're not hitting that ball in that
100%.
situation.
Those are the things that, as a player, you're dreaming about. Ball bounces out, about 20 yards out. You just put your laces through it, close your eyes, and try to find that top corner.
Should they advance, and there's a film session on Monday, the coaching staff will say, hey, Jackson, you could have done this, you could have done that. After the fact. In the moment, no. You're putting your laces through it, and you're hoping for the best. And the best did not happen in that moment. They carry on scoreless in extra time. Rhode Island waits. Looking through for Adebayo. Spin saved by Dick! Looked like it got him in the head, and he's hobbling now in the 6-yard box. Keep an eye on that. So difficult as a keeper when you haven't had anything to do all night to spring into action like that.
Needs to get it right, Eric Dick does. And as this ball comes over the top, nearly, because Adebayo Smith does everything right, tries to put it up and over it right in the face. Eric Dick takes it.
That is just his second shot on target of the night for Detroit City. And to be fair, I can't remember the first, which just goes to show you it wasn't really a threat at goal. It just technically went down as a shot on target. That was their most dangerous moment. It's been Pittsburgh knocking on the door all night. There's been no answer. These nights, it's something spectacular, or it's who you least expect in the most unexpected of fashions. Just have to wait and see which of those it comes to be. That too brought down. It's a corner, pardon me, offside. Offside is the call. Or is it a corner? Players were trying to figure that same thing out.
There's arguments from different views. Detroit City is arguing that Stephen Carroll does not, or Michael Bryant does not make a play in this ball. And Junior Etu should go in the book. Natalie Simon says Junior Etu does take the last touch of this ball. In fact, it is a corner for the Riverhounds.
Cohen Markets corner in extra time. Detroit City won it on a corner last week against Louisville City. Will the corner do them in tonight on the other end? Mertz drops it in. Goalkeeper goes down, play on. There was a moment there for Griffin to unleash at a nearly empty net. Only had defenders in the way, no goalkeeper.
Bit awkward here from Saldana as he come off of his line. Seems like he almost slips. Falls extremely awkwardly.
He's asking why a foul wasn't called. He doesn't realize it, and I think he will whenever he sees a replay. It was his own teammate who nudged him and undercut him, so there was no foul there. We'll see it here, coming in late in the frame right there. It's a teammate that nudges him as they went forward, and he had to sort of round his way around a couple of teammates actually in the mix. It was Yamazaki and Wheat. That's why there was no foul call. Very fortunate to come away from that with no harm done on the scoreboard, at least. The concern now is for Carlos Saldana's health, of course. But no damage done on the scoreboard. In an awkward situation. Looks to be all right, gritting through it. By the way, it's been a battle all year between Carlos Saldana and Carlos Herrera for Detroit City. It hasn't come up tonight, but Carlos Herrera was actually a late scratch, and it's actually Tatenda Mukuruva who is the backup keeper tonight, just in case Saldana cannot continue. Mukuruva's never appeared for Detroit City. He has appeared against Detroit City in Open Cup. Adebayo Smith tracks it down.
Again, really well done from Luke Biasi. Not only to win the ball, but also to connect it into Robbie Mertz.
Getting closer to having to think about it. Penalties loom less than 20 minutes away. We'll have that extra time, halftime, couple of minute break coming up at the 1:05 mark. We'll flip ends, play the last 15. Mertz. Suber, who scored the winning penalty last week. Mertz driving it in, the header, back post, knocked square, loose in front, Amu Mensah clears. Very clear, it has been for a while. Detroit City have sort of thrown in the towel. It's a matter of bunkering down and countering when you can. Think of that Adebayo Smith chance a few minutes ago when Dick made the big save. Anything outside of a counter right now feels far-fetched for Detroit City. Whipped in again towards Jacqueline all the way through, goal kick.
Just need to be a bit quicker in terms of the recognition from Bertrand Jacqueline. Every single time Robbie Mertz peels out to the left-hand side, he's going to cut in. As he puts this ball on his preferred right foot, you need to get goal side of your individual marker, because that is a phenomenal ball within the placement of Robbie Mertz. Just a bit slow to start his run and arrive in the attacking 18-yard box. Bertrand Jacqueline is.
Detroit City, it's been really two good chances. For Pittsburgh, it's been 6, 7 good chances in this one. Neither side have anything to show for it, though.
Good touch from Michael Bryan.
And Mertz commits the foul. Final minute of this first half of extra time. Still no goals to speak of anywhere. 81st minute, Tulsa Phoenix scoreless. 41st minute, New Mexico Orange County scoreless. Only 2 goals again belong to Albert Dequa earlier in Rhode Island's 2-0 win over North Carolina. Rhode Island would visit Pittsburgh or host Detroit City in what would be a 7-8 matchup if it comes to pass. In a year where Louisville and Charleston were historically good, to have a 7-8 matchup as your conference final would be astounding, but it could be. Long throw from Amu Mensah. Eric Dick gathers it. Dangerous throw out for Edrach. Adebayo Smith to the end line. Jordan Adebayo Smith wins a corner. That should be the last play of this first half of extra time. And it was needless from Eric Dick. He put Edrach in a very difficult position.
Just no need to go quick. You are Eric Dick. That is when game management comes into play. Fantastic coverage here from Suber. Makes himself big, and notice the angle that he takes. He needs to leave his feet because there's no place that Adebayo Smith can go.
Hernandez Foster from the corner. Knocked centrally, but Dick is there waiting for it. And the whistle goes to end this first half of extra time. Still scoreless between Pittsburgh and Detroit City.
Between the years is a talking point from Rob Vincent and Danny Deque to their respective clubs. Understanding where you are on the field determines your decision making. There is no need to try to overplay when you're playing out of the back. Get rid of danger and do not leave your feet unless you are extremely sure that you're going to win the ball. The last thing that you want to have happen is a silly mistake, but also to leave your side at a disadvantage in terms of the scoreline, but also the personnel in the field.
Well, it's way later now than it was 2 years ago. 2023 Eastern Conference quarterfinal when Detroit City downed Pittsburgh 1-0. It's Dominic Gasso in the 78th minute to stun Pittsburgh that night. Up until this year, that was, at the time, the biggest upset on paper and in most people's opinions in USL Championship history. It changed this year when this same Detroit City team went on the road last week and defeated Louisville City. Pittsburgh last week had penalties that they can rely on now if we get there 15 minutes from now, beating Hartford. One big save was made by Eric Dick. Samuel Carriaga blasted one over the bar, and then it opened the door for Sean Suber to end the night with the celebration. We'll see if we get there tonight. The way this game has gone, it's felt like we might be heading that way. But 15 minutes for somebody to step up as a hero. Ricky, you mentioned it's between the ears now more than anything else. It's also about what's in your chest. That heart beats for this
100%.
game, and you have to dig as deep as you can, knowing your season could end in 15 minutes or after penalties, or you could be playing next week.
Every single time you and I have the ability to speak with a coach, it's a very consistent message saying we need to have the ability to suffer together. We need to sacrifice, whether that is making a long busting run over 50, 60 yards to defend for one of your teammates, but also to understand what this means. As a professional player, you don't have very opportunities that come very often to play for trophies. You win this game, you get to be able to play against Rhode Island in the Eastern Conference Final. So you're challenging your players to understand the moment. You're challenging for your players to produce that little bit of individual brilliance, but you're also challenging your players to stay tuned in mentally and not have any silly mistakes.
Alex Villanueva, you just saw a moment ago, into the match now for Detroit City. He replaces Isaiah LaFleur. So they've used now 4 changes, Detroit City. They have 2 remaining with the extra time bonus sub. Pittsburgh have still just used 2 changes. They have 4 remaining. Rob Vincent has been reluctant to dip into the bench the way things have been going for Pittsburgh, who have been in total control. Now in the final 15 minutes of tonight's events, otherwise it's penalties to decide things between Pittsburgh and Detroit City. Glad to have had you with us the whole way. Alongside MLS Vader and Ricky Lopez-Espin, I'm Joe Malfa. Welcome those of you who might be flipping over from other games around USL Championship tonight. Pittsburgh Stadium setting a record attendance tonight, 6,220. It was scoreless the distance last week between Pittsburgh and Hartford. The winner against Rhode Island next week. Either Pittsburgh hosts or Detroit City visits Rhode Island. Riverhounds have taken 14 shots tonight. Detroit City have taken 4. Both have 2 shots on target, though. The efficiency hasn't been there for Pittsburgh. They've very much had the quantity, although they have had the quality as well, if you were to parse it down, over Detroit City. But metrically, only a pair of shots on target each. Walty. Kenny Griffin down here on the near touchline now. Have Pittsburgh shape-shifted again. Jacqueson from a distance, it's blocked. Is this a switch into a 4-back now for Pittsburgh?
Almost seems like Detroit has shifted into a 3-back again.
Comes out to Sample. At 2. Edrach for Mertz. Etu through the legs. Etu delivering off the post. Jacqueson maybe lost track of exactly where he was.
Talk about individual brilliance here from Junior Etu to be able to take on not 1 but 2 Detroit City defenders and nutmeg Shane Wheat and put in a phenomenal ball in. But this is all about the timing from Jacqueson as he comes across in front of Stephen Carroll behind Michael Bryant. They never see him. Lost in the rotation, just overruns it a tad bit, which makes that angle that much tighter to put it into that near post. But great movement from Jacqueson.
He was only about 2 yards away from that post, but he was staring at it with a 1,000-yard stare. And then shouted up to the heavens. It's a throw coming now for Detroit City, and we'll see Darren Smith exit, Sebastian Guenzati enter.
Difficult for Darren Smith to get on the ball to make his impact felt. Now Danny Dicchio electing to go with a little bit more experience in Sebastian Guenzati, understanding that the hold-up play for the remainder of this game will be really influential, relieving some of that pressure, but also if it goes to 12 yards out, a play that has seen it all.
Minutes remaining. Etu. Williams calling for it. Etu waited too long, but he does draw the foul. Shane Wheat can't believe it. I think he felt that Etu ran into him after a heavy touch.
A little bit of a drop of the shoulder there from Wheat. Notice a left as he just comes through the chest area of Junior Etu. Really aggressive from Wheat. An opportunity again, which can be a nightmare for Saldana with the in-swinger of Robbie Mertz. Desired location for the Riverhounds is right between that 6-yard box and penalty mark to catch the goalkeeper in no man's land.
Mertz, good service. Put it exactly where you want it if you're Pittsburgh. Williams lets it go. Mertz can't keep it alive. Detroit City really haven't even had a courtesy look in this second half of extra time. It has been defend, defend, defend. But once you've come this far, might as well take it the whole way. See what you can do on spot kicks. They've had more initiative, though, I'll say this week, Detroit City versus Hartford last week. Adebayo-Smith battling for it, turning. Jordan Adebayo-Smith had it blocked. Last week, Hartford shut it down in about the 65th minute and then never really looked back. Detroit City have had their little pockets of moments. And now they're tasked with defending again. Mertz, good service. Had Williams and Walty both in the vicinity. Advantage played by Annalise Simon.
The picture perfect of the line of 5 for Detroit City. 5-3-2, Ryan Williams, Yamazaki, Kobe Hernandez-Foster, and in front of them, Adebayo-Smith and Sebastian Gonzalez. So areas right here is where you can really operate and try to manipulate one of those players out of position. Then you go wide.
Now it's wide. Now it's in the middle. Now it's gone.
But as you do go wide for the Riverhounds, there needs to be better anticipation centrally and someone crashing that center location of the attacking 18-yard box.
Good ball from Sample. Jacqueson up to Biasi. Tasked with serving as a center back tonight, Luke Biasi. So he hasn't had the same impact as recent weeks and not on the same page there with Edrach. What do you think, gamesmanship time, Ricky?
I have to think, but also the shift that Detroit City has put in. It's not easy when you're not on the ball, the amount of ground you have to cover, the work rate to drop back.
Crowd certainly thinks it's gamesmanship with the Boo Birds coming down.
Always.
Effectively taking a minute and a half off the clock in this exchange here, Detroit City. There's Williams. Delivered through Adebayo-Smith and out for a goal kick. 5 to play.
The And that was the type of movement that I was asking about from Bertrand Jacquesson. As Adebayo Smith gets on the ball, Sebastian Guizzati nearly comes across Danny Griffin and almost gets on the end of that ball. Would have been a nightmare for Danny Griffin to try to recover.
Starting to think about it more now with 4 to play. Detroit City have only had 1 shootout this year. It came in the Jägermeister Cup. They're 5 kick takers: Ates Diouf, Connor Rutz, Sebastian Guenzati, Haruki Yamazaki, and Michael Bryant. 3 of the 5 are out there on the field right now. Pittsburgh, of course, coming off last week's shootout. Sample. One back by Walty. Served in, the header saved by Saldana. Oh, he made a big one last week against Lou City to preserve the win. He preserves for now the tie and hope for Detroit City. Still on here. Jacquesson tried to square it back. Amu Mensah beyond his reach. Griffin. 3 to play. Yassi delivering. Mertz crashing. Foul in the build-up against Jacquesson.
Fantastic ball in from Luke Biasi and Robbie Mertz. We talked about that second run out of midfield all evening. Gets goal side of Shane Wheat, but that is another jaw-dropping save from Saldana. Full extension to come across his goal mouth and parry it wide. And give credit to Yamazaki and this whole back line of Detroit City there to put out any second opportunities and clear their lines.
And Yamazaki will be subbed off here for Matt Sheldon. That's all 6 subs now used by Detroit City. As I said a moment ago, Yamazaki was one of the penalty takers in their lone shootout of the year. So he comes off the field now. By the way, all of Pittsburgh's kick takers last week, Jacquesson, Mertz, Williams, Suber, all still on the field. We asked Rob Vincent who the 5th kick taker would have been had they needed to go there. It would have been Beto Idrach, who is also still on the field. So they have their preferred kick takers all still out there. And we are almost 2 minutes away from that now. Welcome those of you who might be joining us with New Mexico and Orange County at halftime, scoreless. Tulsa and Phoenix have also just entered extra time at 0-0. That New Mexico-Orange County game, you guessed it, 0-0. It has been a very defensive night across the USL Championship. Only Rhode Island has scored twice against North Carolina in their 2-0 win. Last week saw 8 games and 11 clean sheets, with 3 of the teams defeated last week also going 120 clean until losing in penalties. It has been incredibly defensive in this postseason. That's why the old cliche exists of defense winning championships. 30 seconds from a shootout.
Ladies and gentlemen, there will be 1 minute of stoppage time.
1 minute of stoppage time.
1 minute to get those towels waving and make some noise.
Opportunities have been there for Pittsburgh. 18 shots, 3 on target. Expected goals tally, giving you some insight into the danger of their chances, 1.02. Detroit's, meanwhile, 0.22. They found the net once through Augie Williams, who was brought back because of a foul against Augie Williams, and rightfully called. Look out here. Super misjudged that. Adebayo Smith tries to make them pay, but he's a man on an island right now. Saldana's in no hurry. Closing seconds ticking off. And there is the full-time whistle for the second week in a row. We are scoreless at Highmark Stadium after 120. We'll take a quick break here, and when we return, Pittsburgh, Detroit City in a shootout for a spot in next week's Eastern Conference Final against Rhode Island.
Tip the scales. More life, less work. That's balance. Clock out and step onto scenic hiking trails where colorful views guide the way. Experience fall in Pennsylvania's Laurel Highlands the way it was meant to be. Bold, beautiful, and breathtaking. Find your adventure or kick back and relax. Your work will be waiting when you get back. It's all about balance. Make fall happen at GoLaurelHighlands.com.
Ain't no better feeling than a cold one in my hand. That's why I'll be keeping Iron City in my plans. Oh, everywhere I roam, I'll be thinking about my home. Sitting pouring on the iron right before I go to rest. And when I'm laying in my bed, there's only one thing in my head. Just an ice cold can of Pittsburgh, PA's best.
Time for a shootout. Stop me if you've heard that before. Just last week, 0-0, Pittsburgh-Hartford to a shootout where the Riverhounds won it 4-2. Now it's a shootout between Pittsburgh and Detroit City. After an extra time, Ricky, that saw a lot of chances again on the Pittsburgh side. If you look at the Corona full-time highlights, but the best early chance belonged to Adebayo Smith and Detroit City.
Really good save from Eric Dick. Actually uses his face to deny Adebayo Smith, who does everything right, trying to go up and over. But then since that opportunity, it was all Riverhounds actually doing a good job. But right side of your screen, the timing and the movement from Berton Jacobson is so impressive. Splits Carroll right between him and Michael Bryant. Meets the ball, beats Saldana. The only thing he cannot beat is that near post. And then Robbie Mertz, that secondary run is just a nightmare to defend. Gets goal side of Shane Wheat, and Saldana yet again. A spectacular save, full extension to parry it wide of that far post, and Yamazaki doing a good job at cleaning up the mess.
Saldana was back in net last week for the first time in over a month. Big save against Lou City to preserve the victory. Big save tonight to preserve the clean sheet and send us to extra time. Eric Dick looking over the notes of the possible kick takers and where they may elect to go. Back-to-back weeks that after the coin toss, it's away from the Steel Army, down at the sweet end of the stadium. Not sure if that necessarily factors in or presents a big advantage. Plenty of fans down at this end, but it's not the Steel Army end, which is where you figure Pittsburgh would have rather had the shootout. Carlos Saldana, in his second year with Detroit City, was in a timeshare last year. Was in a timeshare this year, but the spotlight squarely on him here tonight. Eric Dick has been the man all season for Pittsburgh, all of last year too. Golden Glove and Goalkeeper of the Year in 2024. A goals against average of .89 this year. And it will be Detroit City going first. Sebastian Guenzati, who subbed on late to take the opening penalty. Last week we saw something similar. Haji Barry subbed on to take a penalty for Hartford, and he missed it. Guenzati, the 34-year-old from Uruguay, has been in this league since 2017. Tampa Bay, then Indy, now Detroit City. Need to get your team off on the right foot in the shootout. Guenzati against Dick. Guenzati scores.
Composed from Sebastian Guenzati, a player that has seen it all, a player that has experience and will not crumble under pressure. The run up really quickly, not allowing Eric Dick to get set, and notice the way that he comes across his body. Bottom corner, really well taken pen from Sebastian Guenzati.
Bertrand Jacquesson steps up. He scored last week in his take. Remember, all of the takers last week for Pittsburgh are still out there and can take again tonight. Jacquesson, Mertz, Williams, Suber in that order. It would have been Edrach had they gone to a fifth. Jacquesson had that great chance in extra time that he put off the post. Saldana clapping the hands, playing the mind games. Bertrand Jacquesson scores, brilliantly taken, roofing it.
If and when you go down the center of the goal, you need to go high, but you also need to take a little bit off of it, allowing the goalkeeper to dive out of the way. Class of a pen from Jacquesson.
So 1-1 after one. Last week, Eric Dick saved the opening shot and put Pittsburgh in the driver's seat from the jump. Now Kobe Hernandez-Foster, another substitute for Detroit City, will step up. Came over mid-season from Birmingham. Was their leader in chances created last year. Was instrumental in Detroit City's resurgence down the stretch this year. Hernandez-Foster slips it through. Dick got a piece of it, but couldn't keep it out.
He's gonna want this one back, Eric Dick, as he reads it the whole way. He's there before the ball of Hernandez-Foster. But notice how he only goes with one hand. If he goes with both, then he has the ability to push it wide. With the amount of pace that Hernandez-Foster hits it with, gets him out of it. 2 for 2 for Detroit.
And so far, 2 for 2 for Pittsburgh and staying true to last week with Mertz following Jacquesson. Can Saldana make a save? Robbie Mertz denied by Saldana!
Comfortable height for Saldana to see it the whole way. Not the best of pens from Robbie Mertz in terms of the location. Not tucked away in the corner nearly well enough. Saldana sees it the whole way. And it's a power step with his left foot to send him right. Phenomenal save.
2-1 after 2. Amu Mensah steps up, last week's heroes, scoring the lone goal in the win over Louisville City, the captain of this Detroit City side. Rest on his shoulders, Amu Mensah off the post!
Just to run up and the angle that Devin Amu Mensah takes. It's almost straight on, which makes it really difficult if you're going to come back across your body because you need to time it correctly. He goes a little bit too early, he pulls it too wide, and the result is he kisses it off that far post.
As Augie Williams kisses the ball before he places it down. Still the same order as last week for Pittsburgh. Williams made his kick a week ago to level things again after 3 rounds. Augie Williams scores!
Efficient from Augie Williams, no nonsense pen. Notice the way that he keeps his shoulders squared at the last second. That's when he wraps his right foot around it. Head down. Really well taken technique from Augie Williams.
Up steps Ryan Williams, the old head that Danny Dicchio called him in our conversation this week. Still getting the job done at 34. And the old head tried to utilize a wily move, had it just ahead of the penalty spot. Natalie Simon noticed it, asked for him to move it back, and is still asking for him to move it back. Does this get into his head here? Trying to get it to rest on the spot the way he wants. Finally have that squared away. Williams off the bar! Back-to-back kicks for Detroit City that have hit the woodwork and stayed out.
If you elect to go high, the balance and the way that your shoulders lean back have to be perfect. They come back a bit too early, his head goes, and that's why he gets underneath the ball.
You can't help but wonder if having to reposition the ball twice as well got into his head. Now Sean Suber steps up. Last week he won it. He can't win it here, but he could put Pittsburgh on the brink. He scores, Detroit City misses, it's already done. Deep breath from Suber. Eyeing up Saldana, Suber scores! Riverhounds, a save or a make away from their first ever conference final.
Cool as you would like here from Suber. Eyes on Saldana the whole way. And notice as the keeper stays central, you just need to put enough pace on this ball because there's no way that Saldana can get to it with a late run up.
From one center back to another, Michael Bryant steps up. Detroit City, well, their whole hopes rest on his right foot as he places the ball. Must score to keep this going. Bryant scores.
No pressure whatsoever on Michael Bryant. Knows exactly where he wants to place this ball. Perfection of a pen for the leader of Detroit City.
Well, we asked Rob Vincent who would step up as the fifth kick taker. They didn't need a fifth kick taker last week. He said it would have been Beno Idrach. It is. Saldana playing the mind games, hasn't gotten into the goal yet. Slowly sauntering over, trying to delay what has been still a very long wait for Pittsburgh. In the modern era of USL Championship, they've never played for a conference title. Is that wait about to end for the Riverhounds? Idrach, yes! Pittsburgh into the Eastern Conference Final!
Resilience is what you get from this Riverhound side. Knows exactly who they are on and off the ball, the ability to suffer, the ability to grind out results, and most importantly, to rise above the pressure. Big time players standing up in big time moments, none bigger than Idrach here. Opens up his hip, but the amount of pace that he puts on this ball with the run up. Saldana guesses it but cannot push it wide of that far post. And the Riverhounds have the ability to host an Eastern Conference Final here in 2025.
The board broke in their favor. Louisville City, Charleston Battery, North Carolina, the top three seeds all faltered. Pittsburgh did not. They will host Rhode Island next week. And we're back in a moment to wrap things up from Highmark Stadium, where Pittsburgh takes it in the shootout over Detroit City.
At AHN, good heart care starts before you're just not feeling right. Before you say, it'll go away on its own. Before it doesn't. Because before an emergency, there's time to stop heart problems with a simple preventative heart check. At AHN, we see you.
Now this place erupted, 6,220 fans, a record for Highmark Stadium. Something tells me they're going to break that next week when they host, for the first time ever, an Eastern Conference Final because of tonight's Man of the Match presented by Modelo. Beto Edrach scoring the winning penalty in the 5th round for the Riverhounds.
When the pressure is on, shouldered it with no problem whatsoever, executed his pen, hit it with enough pace, enough power, and he sealed the deal that the Riverhounds will host the Eastern Conference Final.
Take a look at the full-time highlights from it all now. Match was on for Pittsburgh. So the bracket as it stands now has half of the conference final full. We don't know yet out west, but in the east, it's Pittsburgh hosting Rhode Island.
Intriguing matchup. You have two teams that are extremely physical. This Rhode Island side went through Charleston Battery. They scored 2. Albert Deco coming back into Highmark Stadium. Just so many storylines, especially in this field with how tight and narrow it is. It's going to be a really interesting matchup. New Mexico up 1-0 against Orange County, and Tulsa and Phoenix Rising right now in the 105th minute, tied 0-0.
Yeah, we don't have all the clarity yet there out west. You can flip over on ESPN Plus to catch the last half hour of New Mexico, Orange County, or extra time, the last 10 minutes between Tulsa and Phoenix. It was dramatic tonight at Highmark Stadium, and it ends up with Amo and the Pittsburgh Riverhounds into their first conference final in the modern era. For the crew that makes this possible, the broadcast partner Ricky Lopez Espin, I'm Joe Malva saying so long for now. Pittsburgh, Rhode Island, your Eastern Conference final a week from now. Good night, everybody.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.